What is up, you guys? Welcome back to another video. My name is Chris, as always with me, Liam, who is not awkward or sick today. And we are diving into HBO's Dune Prophecy, Episode 2. A lot of questions are being answered. What's actually going on with the Desmond Hart character? And a lot of other things just like unraveling as we go. So I'm really excited to dive in. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments below, but we are about to go. Liam, let's dive in.
He's the very first X-Men.
It is the origination. It's the biggest crossover ever.
Yes.
It's Marvel crossing over with Dune universe inside of HBO. No, just kidding. That was completely made up. None of that is true. But I get what you mean, where he's kind of like has mutant powers where no one else really does.
It seems like the show's taking a lot of, oh, this is the first one of that ability. This is the first one of that ability. Like the power of speak to make them do things, right?
Well, they gave us an origin of that, not the first person to ever be able to do it.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at is like, look, we got a bunch of firsts here, and is there anything that it relates to in the future stuff for this power?
No, this is all new. Their territory. And let me know, guys, by no means am I like a Dune historian, right? I definitely love it, and I have a little bit of history in my head with it, but as far as I understand it, man, I have never read or seen or heard of a person inside the Dune universe who has the ability to burn someone from the inside with just their mind. Like, never seen that. Especially a Bene Gesserit who has molecular control. Like they can turn they can drink poison,
Foreshadowing.
and transmute that, right? Like, well, that's just Bene Gesserit training. Like in the future with Paul, he's
Foreshadowing, because that happens later on in the episode.
Lady Jessica does it too when she takes the water of life in Dune Part 2. So we're not new to that.
I was gonna ask about that.
And also, like, if you don't know this already, heavy spoilers coming, guys. Like heavy spoilers. So if you don't want to know more about Dune and more about what happened in this episode, come back once you have watched it. Lady Jessica drinks the water of life in wine, and then she converts that transmutes that from the poison into like something her body can actually handle and actually gives it a power. And so with the Bene Gesserit being able to have that ability, it's very strange to me that he was able to inflict that. So I don't believe what the show is leading us to believe. The show is very, very much leading us down the path that the worm, Shai-Hulud, the great worm on Dune, Arrakis, gave him this power, right? Like he was eaten by it. We saw it on the hologram, yet here he is. And he definitely very clearly can pull up this ability on command, even though it does seem like it hurts him. Both times it hurt him. But there's no character inside the Dune universe that can do that. And even those gifted by the great worm with power, it's more of like the ability to like see things, not necessarily create physical pain. So I don't know. It's very strange, very strange.
I'm still sticking with the cyborg thing.
I mean, honestly, the Tleilaxu and the Gola, like that's really my biggest, like I'm sticking like that. That's my biggest theory on that one.
Which?
That he is not actually Desmond Hart anymore. He has been created, a clone of Desmond Hart, and he's actually working for the AI, much like you say. So in the world of Dune, there are no real aliens, really. Like the giant worm technically is an alien, right? So it's an alien mod-like creature.
Is it? I mean, you could think of it more like, well, a whale's not an alien, but looks nothing like us. It's a giant thing that...
Yeah, I say alien because it doesn't come from planet Earth, right? So it's terrestrial creature from a different planet. All of the people in the Dune universe start from Earth.
But they're not there. They're all on all these different planets.
Correct. Yeah, spice gives us the ability to travel and do these different things. And spice is the reason that you see the mutations and the different looking species of people is all spice manipulation.
Okay. I didn't know that part. But this episode started pretty much with him being, yeah, King dude, I definitely did it for you. You requested and I did it.
That was a little bit shocking. I wasn't expecting him to just outright be so bluntly honest, but it did make sense because he's supposed to be fighting those who basically their main currency is lies, right? The Bene Gesserit. And so it makes sense that the opposing force deals in truths. There were some interactions with him and the Bene Gesserit that I thought were very interesting, but that's later in the episode. But
I mean, like where they left off?
Yeah,
Wild.
Don't want to jump ahead too much, but yeah, that was really kind of crazy. Yeah, I don't want to jump ahead too much, so I'll let you take it.
So essentially, you saw that king dude emperor, whatever. I saw him go ahead and be like, yeah, I'm kind of conflicted by this. I'm appreciative of what you just did. You saved me from that marriage that I want no part of to begin with. I mean, we already got our rewards and everything. But I have to save face and do what's right politically as well. So let's go float you in the floating prison.
Yeah. You could see in that moment, Mark Strong's character, who plays the Emperor, having like this moral dilemma, like having this realization and then like, oh shit, what did I do? Oh crap, I gotta do something, and then like flips it over. Because he was like, in no way was I saying I wanted you to kill him. I was just sharing a private like issue I was having. I didn't think you were gonna go take action on it. But at the same time, he's not upset he did, but morally he gets like, oh shit, we killed a kid. Like that probably wasn't the way I wanted to go about that. So he's like struggling with that, right? So yeah, he arrests him and puts him in the little suspension anti-gravity, which is kind of like a hint to technology later on, right? The Baron of Harkin, he's such a big man that like he only travels with that, right? So I thought that was kind of cool that they're like, and also Jason Momoa's character, Duncan Idaho, when he fights the Sardaukar with it in the hallway, also really cool scene. So I'm like, oh, that technology is going to show up later. That's kind of cool. Yeah, I'm going off on tangents. Going all over the place.
What did you think of the Resistance?
So I thought it was an interesting angle, like a different perspective, a different thing to add, a different layer. That's what I was looking for, to add to the plot. I thought on overall looking at the way that the rebellion and all the things play into, like there's like this growing insurgency and then the houses are fighting with the Emperor and there's this rebellion brewing. I felt very much like Game of Thrones. I was like, oh, HBO is leaning very hard into Game of Thrones, House of Dragon style stuff right now. And then they gave us the sex scene that I guess everyone wanted, but no one needed. I don't know what that was all about. But, you know, obviously, I get it. It brings viewers up. It brings view times up. People show up for that kind of shit. But I thought it just, like, didn't make sense for the story itself. I don't know. I was like, okay, where are we going with this? Like, is she going to poison him? Is, like, something going to happen? But no, it's just, like, this long, drawn-out scene of him spilling one piece of information.
Kind of critical, though, don't you think?
I think it could have been like a half a second.
It was a honey trap, essentially, but it was a honey trap of convenience. Oh, I could totally use this later.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't care either. He hates his father. You can see it. Like his father, he's always referred to as the bastard, which again was like so much Game of Thrones shit going on in this right now that I was just like, can we go back to Dune now, please? That'd be great. Not Game of Thrones.
Maybe that's why I enjoyed this episode a little more, is because it was getting a little more into something familiar for me.
Yeah. I mean, the families fighting and the political upheaval and the power plays, like all of that is pretty prevalent in Dune itself. But the way they went about this episode was just very Game of Thrones. I was like, I don't know.
Is Game of Thrones just the fantasy version of Dune being the sci-fi version?
No, they're very different. Yeah, very, very different.
Okay. I'm seeing a lot of parallels. Maybe, again, what you were saying, maybe because it's just HBO.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's because HBO has such great success when they add elements of sex, betrayal, violence, things like that they keep adding it in, right? Everything from True Blood to like all their fantasy series, like Game of Thrones. Now we have Dune, like all of those have these things weaved in, even if they weren't necessarily part of the original work, because it's what HBO does well and what sells.
I can see that. So tell me about Kieran the Atreides. Why
The Swords Master.
Yes. Why is he part of the rebellion?
So he says it himself in the episode. He doesn't like that there's this unfair monopoly, that the great houses basically hold all this power, hoard the spice, which is the thing everyone wants the power over, and that everyone else is kind of like left to pick up the scraps and fend for themselves.
Yeah, but something had to have happened to get that to be a big thing for him.
I'm sure we're going to find out, but we don't know yet.
Oh, okay. We don't know any of that stuff. And then we also have that younger chick who has to go through the ritual?
Lyla.
Lyla? Yeah.
Who is supposed to be the granddaughter of the original, or great-granddaughter of the original Reverend Mother.
So her mother's gone. They told her that she's dead, but that grandmother that possessed when she was going through that trial thing was like, they lied to you. Mm-hmm. So is the mother dead, or is that the one that was assassinated at the beginning?
Right now they're leaving us in mystery. So what ends up so the woman who founds the Sisterhood and like creates the Bene Gesserit, well, before the Bene Gesserit, the Bene Gesserit as we know it is because of Valia Harkonnen. But before that, there was the other woman who passes away in the very first episode. Her great-great-granddaughter is Lyla, right? So Tula, who is the other Harkonnen sister, who's the one who raised her like a daughter, she is lying to her and telling her that her mother passed away in childbirth. We don't really know the lineage necessarily yet, because what's different about the Bene Gesserit than most factions that we deal with in a fantasy-based or sci-fi-based novel is that because of the way that they want them to be almost only devout to the Sisterhood and have no connections to anything else, they don't let them know who their parents are, right? So like there's no, like they don't really know who their parents are. Like some of them might because of their earlier times, but usually Bene Gesserit don't.
Yeah, they talked about it in this episode about them not wanting to have the extra familial ties or connection for the bonding and stuff like that.
Yeah, so like you have the cases where you take in a member of a royal house for a power play like they're doing with the princess, who she would definitely know who her parents are, right? But for the most part, they try to keep that stuff from the initiate, from the acolyte, so that their only focus is on the loyalty to the Sisterhood.
Yeah, because she even mentioned, she's like, yeah, I think of you as my mom.
Right.
And she's like, I did the same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
I think because of the way that scene inside of her mind plays out, where she gets basically swarmed by all of the previous consciousness, which can lead to a possession, which is a huge thing inside of the Dune universe. They call them abominations, which we're not going to go too far into because that's way later, and I don't want to ruin anything for future movies. But basically what's happening is I think we have Tula lying to her, and then her having the realization in what seems like her last moments of life that, oh shit, the person who Valia had kill herself, which her name is just slipping my mind right now, is actually the mother, right? So there's a thing inside of the Bene Gesserit, like I briefly mentioned earlier, and I'll just put a bow on it right here. There are women, full-grown women who are fully devout members of the Bene Gesserit who, might be Reverend Mothers, but definitely truth-sayers, who are in the same organization as their child, but will never acknowledge that because of there's no bonds. They know it though. They will know it, yeah, because obviously they can't erase the memory, and they have the idea like, oh, I have a daughter, and that person looks a lot like me. Like they'll figure that shit out, but they'll never make a connection. They'll never reach out. They'll never have an additional loyalty. Like that's Bene Gesserit's very much cult-like. Like
very interesting.
Yes, it's based off of the religion, the Catholic religion, when Frank Herbert wrote it.
Okay.
Yeah. So after the scene where we believe Lyla passes because she doesn't successfully pass the ritual, and the awakening of the previous consciousness of her past actually swarm her and take over, which is why you kind of see her like die.
Well, she said she's going to take the thing that she loved or something like that, right?
She said, you took my life, so I'll take your hope.
Your hope. That's it.
But that could be portrayed in two different ways. It could be portrayed as in she's just going to kill her, which is why she let the other consciousness swarm her and eat her and do that little scene, almost like a zombie scene, or
I thought they were all fighting to take control of the host.
It could be that.
I didn't think of it as like a zombie attack.
Yeah, it looked like they were trying to eat her. It was kind of interesting. What I think, though, is that either she's dead, so they took away their hope, because she was one of the more powerful acolytes that they had. And she was able to directly connect to the original vision because she had the lineage and no one else did. Or, like you were referring to earlier, there's going to be a full-on possession where that woman, who I still can't remember her name, who stabs herself in the neck, comes back and possesses the body and then wreaks havoc because of it.
Okay, I could see that. To me, it looked like they left off with her dead.
Yeah, very much. But I mean, there's been many times where we thought people were dead who weren't, right? So
it's true. Sci-fi.
It could be that they just killed her, or it could be that she comes back possessed. If she comes back possessed, it will definitely create a lot more of a ripple and contention and chaos than if she just dies, right? Because if she just dies, then the secret stays a secret. But if she comes back and is able to share the secret of how the Bene Gesserit was really founded, it becomes different, yeah. So we'll see how that ends up. What do you guys think is going to happen with that in the comment? So we have, as you mentioned, Kieran Atreides turns up as a member of the rebellion. He has mapped out the entire castle, we'll call it for now. I forget, it's basically the Imperial Fortress. Has it all mapped out, even down to the throne room. They're planning an attack, a rebellion. we're starting to notice that maybe his loyalty to the rebellion isn't 100%, and he's kind of falling in love with the princess a little bit. But then we have that second fight, their second sparring match, if you will. And this one was very different. In episode 1, it was very flirty, very tactical, very training session. In this one, it was very
Lustful.
I would say even hatred. There was like a anger of what she was doing. And then when he tries to,
Well, she feels a lot of guilt. She just got done calling that kid a little shit, and now the kid's dead, and she feels that.
I think she feels more about caution than she does about the kid. It was her death that she needed her Bene Gesserit training to reset from. So I think she's dealing more with that than the kid. I mean, she was going to kill the kid herself. She didn't give a fuck. It was more of a political play. It was a way for her to continue pursuing her passions, her mission, her vision, without having to deal with the politics of the universe for at least 10 years. So I thought that was really where she was coming from. But I thought it was kind of an interesting scene when he goes to kiss her, right? They already had this intimate scene in the first episode, and then he goes to kiss her in the second one, and she basically puts the knife to his gut, and it's like not going to happen. I thought that was very
Like, we shouldn't be doing this.
She said, yeah, we're not going to do it. And he kind of like agrees and walks away. And she's a little hurt, I think, by that. She's like, wait, that happened a little fast. Like, whoa, what just happened there? But I think ultimately, too, that relationship is going to come into play when the rebellion happens. And I don't necessarily know if it's because he is going to turncoat and join her and help her, or if he's going to, in a moment of love or lust or whatever, try to help her and sacrifice himself in some way, or she just kills him because she finds out. I don't know.
Well, I feel he's very honor bound, like a typical knight, right?
Yeah, well, the Atreides are very honorable. That's why the Duke allows himself to basically get assassinated in the first movie.
And this instance, what I'm talking about is the only reason he's part of the rebellion, from what I'm seeing, is the unfair treatment, right? He wants balance. He feels that a minority is being wronged, and I think he believes he's a part of that minority in a way, right?
His last name is Atreides. And he's a swords master who lives in the palace. Like,
No,
he's not oppressed in any way.
He does have a strong right and wrong,
Yeah, I think he's doing
very much like Yancey.
Oh God, I love that the show. But yeah, I think he's doing it for a sense of honor and nobility and doing what's right. Would make sense based on his last name. I thought it was an interesting twist that the blue-eyed Fremen from the rebellion is actually a Reverend Mother, or at least a truth-sayer from the Bene Gesserit. I don't think she's a Reverend Mother, but that's kind of interesting. She's a spy. And she gave up the Atreides. We'll see where that goes, because once I guess she would be the Empress, or the Emperor's wife, decides or convinces the Emperor to release Desmond and use him as a tool, a weapon against their enemies.
That bites her in the ass real quick.
Yeah, I mean, you're trying to deal with nuclear power. It seems at this like not necessarily nuclear power, because there really is atomic power in the world of Dune, but like you're messing with a weapon you have no idea what it does or how it works, right? So like, could you get hurt too? 100%. Yeah, like that's gonna happen. And you don't know his true motives. Like, you don't really know who he is or why he's doing what he's doing. He's saying it's for the Imperium, but what does that mean? What does that really mean?
Well, didn't she say something along the lines of, he's one of your soldiers. Might as well use him. A soldier who did what he thought was in your best interest, based on what you said.
Yeah.
Didn't she say something like that?
Yeah. She tries to convince him. Yeah. We'll see where that goes, though, because I don't think Desmond's still a soldier of the Imperium. So we'll see. That's why I'm reluctant. But anyway, they end up using him to silence the very loud and very boisterous, almost like, what's the word I'm looking for? Not cocky.
Arrogant.
Yeah, but he's like crossing the line, almost like just, anyway. Duke Lucchese with his airships and his threats and his, slandering words.
Typical loud Italian.
So funny you are. Yeah, he gets put in his place real quick by Desmond, right? Desmond cooks his ass to the point where I don't know if he's going to recover.
The Emperor really enjoyed that, though.
Yeah.
A little too much. Like, he looked like he was scared for a minute when he was going off. And he's like, yeah, come do your thing, right? Mm-hmm. And he starts doing that. And then he gets up all cocky like, yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. So they released Desmond from containment. They use him as a weapon. Now he's free. He's free to roam the castle again, as you will, and be just like a member of, I guess, the Imperial Army again. I don't really know what he's doing, where he falls. But the next time we see him, it's, up against the Mother Superior herself, which I don't believe he has the ability. So, like, there was so much that happened in that scene that was really interesting, but also left me with a lot of questions, right? I thought it was really cool that he was able to withstand the power of the voice, which means he has some sort of conditioning and training or something going on there as well, which I thought was really cool.
I had some questions around that.
It's the first time we've ever seen her scared as an adult, right?
He lets her know what her true fear is.
Yeah, which I thought that was cool, the way he did that. It's like, it's not that you won't be hurt, it's that no one will care. Thought that was interesting. But what I thought, so he has the ability to burn me from the inside. And when he does it to Pruitt, he also does it to Cash at the same time. So at some level, he has the ability to do it to a Bene Gesserit. Why didn't he do it right there in the room and just handle it? Bite off the head of the snake right there. I don't think he has the ability to do it on command like we think. I think it has to be staged. Like he has to know it's coming. He can't be put on the spot. So when he gets called into the throne room, he knows that's coming.
So he's got to build up to it?
I think it's a trick. I think he's like the Wizard of Oz, where eventually we're going to pull back the curtain and we're going to realize that what he's doing is more sleight of hand and more of an illusion to what we can see. And when we really find out, it's going to be something much more simple than he got some special powers from Shai Hulud.
Like he brushed up and tapped him with a poison ring or something like that.
That was time released or something along those lines. Exactly. Yes.
He just plays it up.
But that doesn't explain the Bene Gesserit. So that's what I'm trying to figure out, because Bene Gesserits can alter poison. So it's like, what is really going on? Why didn't he just burn her on the spot? Was he really just trying to make a power play and that's why he didn't? It left me with a lot of questions, that scene. And because of Desmond's character and the mystery around him, I think that I'm really interested to see where that goes, to be honest.
So I'm curious. When she tells him to pull out the knife, put it to his throat.
Yeah.
Was he fighting her will for him to do that? Or was he mocking her from the beginning? Like he was going along with it to make her think that she's winning and was just doing it for show? Or when she finally said to put it through his neck, did he finally just break free?
I think he was toying with her.
So you're of the same mindset of me, where he was just doing the whole thing.
I think the voice doesn't work at all.
Okay.
And that he was toying with her, yeah. Giving her the illusion that he was about to, and then he I think he wanted to see what she would do. I think he played it out. Okay, would she actually have me kill myself? Like, he played it out. And then and then obviously turned it on her. But yeah, I think he was toying with her in that moment. He's taking very great pride in the fact that he has this power over something that's so powerful.
For someone who wants to appear so humble, he's got a massive ego.
Oh yeah. He's basically a prophet of God right now. Like the Sisterhood is considered a god. And so like he's a walking prophet, gifted and powered by the great sandworms.
He literally thinks he's Jesus.
In the world of Dune.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is kind of like it's a lot of religious reference in Dune. Like, so it makes sense.
All right. What questions do you have for the next episode? Like, what do you think is coming?
Well, how much of that, because the ceremony with Lyla, bringing it back to the Bene Gesserit compound, that ceremony was witnessed by all.
Yes.
How much of what Lila said was heard by the acolytes? And is Lyla going to be possessed, or is that ripple going to come from what they heard? Because there's going to be backlash. There's going to be some sort of contention or some sort of chaos that occurs because of the truth being exposed. A murder being the foundation of what we see today. When that truth is exposed, there's going to obviously be people who go one way and people go the other. There's going to be some split. So I think we're going to be seeing that, how that's going to unfold, and maybe what.
So to reiterate what I'm hearing. You think that the Bene Gesserit are going to be broken up into a bunch of micro factions?
At least two. No, not a bunch.
Not a bunch.
Just two. Those,
For and against.
just like it used to be back when Dorothea, I got it by the end of the episode, Dorothea was leading the faction of zealots early on. I think that's going to happen again. Yes. And we're going to see that either in episode 3 or play out throughout this first season, which is crazy because we only have 4 more episodes left. And we're a slow burner already. I don't know if we're going to get it all, man. I think they fucked up with 6 episodes. I think they should have went for 8 or 10, but we'll see.
Unless they do, like we talked about, in the first episode, where like, are they going to stop it there and be like, well, this is just the mid-seasons?
Or in one part 1. Yeah. And then do season 1, part 2. They would lose me, man. I mean, obviously we watch it to review it, but I think they would lose some people for sure. Yeah.
We'd still watch it. I mean, we're already got questions.
Yeah.
Open loops.
So I think we're going to be diving more into the Bene Gesserit and maybe some of the civil war and kind of factions that are going to happen inside of that. I think we're going to, I definitely want to, and we're going to discover more of why Desmond Hart has this ability, ultimately his plans, and then I think we'll deal with how the Emperor is going to kind of work with that, because I think he's going to have some moral dilemmas around. Although you said he kind of enjoyed the last time he used it. So I think as long as he's not using it on kids, he wouldn't really have a moral dilemma with it. So we'll see how that plays out. I would really like to see some more of the great houses come back in, right? So we had the wedding ceremony, and so we met a Harkonnen, we met Atreides, we met all these different people, but there's like a lot of backstory, a lot of other stuff that are going in that we're just kind of getting hints at. Little, we're not going to send any truthsayers to the Harkonnen. We're going to deny them for the 4th time. So like, there's like these little hints, but like and if we're really going to lay the backstory of Dune leading up to where we see them first in HBO show, then we need to see how the Harkonnen become such power. They become the wealthiest family, more so than the Emperor.
Is it Harkonnen or Harkonnen?
Harkonnen.
Okay.
But Harkonnen. I've always called it Harkonnen. So in the audiobook, it's Harkonnen, but I guess it really depends on where you're listening to it. But yeah, same name. Let us know in the comments, how do you say it? But they become the wealthiest of all the families. But they do it through like the whale trade, as he kind of jokingly hints to with the whale semen and all that in the first episode with the Emperor. So like, are we going to see more of their home planets and how they're building up and like really lay almost a whole universe out? Or are we just going to keep following this one storyline with the Bene Gesserit? I'm interested to see where we go. But again, 4 more episodes. Can we really add that much more? I think all we can do is follow the Bene Gesserit. Otherwise, we're going to lose so much.
That seems to be the theme of this for sure. Is the main story with a bunch of subplots under that.
And that's what it was pitched to us as, right? So I get that. But I'd like to see more. If we're going to go this far back in time, it's a great opportunity to like really have some fun.
And is that when they're going to do a spinoff of a spinoff of a spinoff?
Oh, there's so, like, if you really start to look at the universe, like not just the anthology, or if you would call it the 6 original novels, but like all the major house novels and everything that spun off from that, like there's so much that could possibly, like the universe is massive. So much that we can go into. But 4 episodes, so we'll see. All right, you guys, if you found this video valuable, then go ahead and subscribe, because every week we are dropping 2 videos, one for Dune in the beginning of the week and then Silo towards the end of the week. We're just doing it that way based on when they're airing, so we have some time to review them and then drop them for you guys. Trying to get them out within the first 24 hours of actually being aired, so you guys can have like a companion to watch it with or watch it after, so you kind of fill in some of the pieces and have some theories and some predictions that we may have to share with you. So go ahead, hit subscribe. And that's also the very first step to enter to win our $50 gift card giveaway. We will be announcing it at the beginning of December live on the channel, let you know who won. The second step in order to win that is just comment below. What do you think of this video? What do you think of episode 2 of Dune Prophecy? Love to hear you guys, your opinions, your feedback on it. Our podcast here is not so much, the deep history and the lore and what is the canon and what's the book versus the movie. We would just like to have conversations about film and share what we know and share what we think's coming, predictions and cool stuff like that. So if you guys enjoy it too, then you really are in the right place. And we appreciate everyone who's subscribed. We are about to hit 5,000 subscribers, a huge milestone for us. Very excited. We appreciate you guys being here. If you really enjoyed this episode, you can check out more of our amazing reviews right here. We also have a whole playlist of other top watched videos here, and something else that you may like that we think is really cool right up here. But again, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you on those videos. Peace.
Find the strength hiding in each battle scar. You're not who you were, you've already come far.